The Acolyte. Now, Star Wars newest exciting thing.
War crime.
We have had it should we should preface just for anyone who like maybe new
Address it
to
by
us.
its correct title. War crime.
Well, that's more efficient. We have a complicated history with Star Wars. I like most of it. Dara and my wife don't, because they love Star Wars, as is the way with Star Wars weirdos. Kev, do you know anything about this Acolyte show?
No, and frankly, I don't care to.
Here's the thing. Apparently, it's so bad. It's been received so poorly around the internet. People aren't even stealing it. That never happens. People
Okay,
people
this is
steal
what
it
I
to
want
watch
to
it.
dive into, but like the circles I run in, all except one review I've come across are glowing, and they say that it's like the biggest Disney like premiere viewership ever on
Yeah,
the
the
platform.
reason is because they don't want to lose their access. That's the reason why they're not being legit. It's bad faith. Like if you look at the and it look we had a conspiracy podcast. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. This isn't one of them. The truth with that is, like the inside baseball with that is, they do not want to lose their access to Disney. So they're going to say
Right,
whatever.
so it's kind of performative,
Oh
like.
yeah, they're going to say whatever Disney wants them to say. And if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes review of it, it's like
I know, but I
91%.
don't really trust Rotten
No,
Tomato
hold on,
metrics,
hold on.
both
We
publicly
don't.
and review
No,
wise.
we don't. It's 91% with the journalists, and it's 21. Hold on, my dog agrees. I know, isn't it bad? It's not bad. It is that
He's
bad.
writing a review as we speak.
Yes, my dog is giving her a review. She also doesn't like the Acolyte. 21% of the
Okay.
audience review. So I mean that puts it into perspective. Like that's either there's a massive disconnect and these people are watching a show that no one else is watching, where apparently it's the greatest show, the greatest TV show of all time, or they don't want to lose their access to Disney. And which one do you
Okay.
think it is?
We'll get into the nuts and bolts of it, but here's where my skepticism came in because I was working at Geek Ireland when Discovery came out, and we'll get into there's some similarities to Discovery here, but I was like the lone like Discovery defender back in the day. And like everyone was saying, oh, if you don't like it, you must be in the pocket of this or you must be politically that. And it's like, no, I just like it. Like, and
Yeah.
like I
See,
kind of
okay.
found myself on the other end of that extreme where I was
Yeah.
watching it, not enjoying it, reading all the reviews. The reviews were glowing. It's like, am I missing something? Like,
Yeah. But see, look, there is look, we don't engage in that here because we're not that kind of show, but
no, no.
there is that kind of thing, right? Where
There's
it's
no
like,
shortage of it on the internet if that's what you're
no,
looking for. Like,
no, absolutely. And I mean, we're not that. We do try to, like, I mean, that's why we have like the range, difference of opinions here, where we do trying to give a fair, balanced take on it.
yeah.
But like, it seems that the more we go into certain franchises, it's like there is like the narrative that, oh, it's the greatest thing ever, and it's like it's clearly not though. And I mean, for whatever that is, right? It
Well, you're
just
going to
seems
get that with corporate and monopolies and all that.
absolutely,
Like it's kind of it's not controversial to say that they're trying to sell you a thing. Like,
yeah. But the funny thing about this specifically is, it's like what they're going for. I mean, it already existed, right? I mean, like if you're looking for a female-fronted LGBT uh person of color thing in Star Wars, that already exists, and it wasn't terrible. It existed in the expanded universe. I mean, every single thing you can possibly think of was in the expanded universe, right? And it didn't suck ass. The thing about the Acolyte is it's terrible. Like it is genuinely one of the worst things. It
can I
makes
can I just
it
because I
no, but hold on,
I automatically know you're going to come in with this heated. Can I come
no,
in
no,
from
I
like
just
a
want
slightly different angle
yeah, I
first?
just want to finish that thought for one
Sure,
second. I
sure,
was just
sure.
like, so the what we're going to break down here, I just want to be very, very clear. What we're going to break down here is not because of any of those things, right? I'm a big fan of the expanded universe. I'm a big fan of anything once it's good, right? The issue here is it is objectively terrible. And we're going to hopefully explain in a very calm way, even though we went heated.
Don't cash checks you can't deliver, or
I
whatever
know
it
I'm going to
is.
try. I'm going to try. We are going to go through and explain why it's so bad. Hopefully, because I mean there are legitimate. I mean, anyone who looks at it and goes, "That is a 90." Like, here's the thing: at a low end, right? It's a 51. Whereas, like, it's a thing to watch.
Yeah.
Fine, and that's what the first two episodes were. Episode three, we'll get into it, but 51 is like it's boring. It's fine. It's okay. And then it just the actual the gallows door has collapsed and Star Wars has been hung. That's what's happened with three. Where it's like, okay, I just cannot say any
But
good
we're
things
going to
about it.
keep it balanced. Like,
We are going to try to keep it balanced. Like, genuinely, I mean, like, Keen agrees that it's bad. Like, me and Stevie, his wife, tend to agree on most Star Wars things, but it's very rare that me and Keen would agree on Star Wars things, and that's how you know that they've hit the iceberg here, and the Titanic's going down, and everyone's like, "Yep,
right.
definitely hit the iceberg, all right." So sorry, go on,
Okay.
go
Well,
for
let
it.
me weigh in here because, like, like from chatting with me, Dara and Kev, from having suffered through this, that I've been fairly favorable to Star Wars. I genuinely like Boba Fett. There aren't any Star Wars shows I've disliked, and I was like the perfect audience for this show. I
Yeah,
have
you
wanted to
really
see some,
were, you really were, yeah,
yeah, I've
yeah,
wanted to see some Jedi stuff. I've wanted to see some stuff in a different time period. Like the actors are people I like. I like that actor from The Hate You Give and the guy from Squid Game and all that. And it's got no legacy characters. Immediately a tick.
yep.
Also, I love like genre mixed up cop shows. Like back when Harry Potter was okay to talk about, one of the things I always wanted to see was like a wizard cop show in the 70s. So Jedi investigators in the High Republic, my jam, totally. And best, and like to make sure that it was absolutely just my opinion, my wife gave up 36 seconds and she didn't like the font. So I had perfect, unbiased, like the most glowing like reception before it even started. And I just I felt immediately like I was missing something because like I mean, we will spoil episodes 1 and 2 a bit. I'm gonna not
No,
like like
we're no, look, we're gonna spoil all of it. Don't
okay,
watch it.
right,
Don't watch it. Don't steal it.
yeah,
Just you shouldn't
yeah,
steal anything, obviously, but just don't
yeah.
avoid it. Just you know what? Go outside, go touch grass, go play T-Pang 2, go talk to your family members, go argue with someone on the internet. Literally do anything. Do
Yeah.
anything else. Just don't watch this show. It is genuinely the worst thing I have ever seen, and I like to watch garbage.
Well, let me unpack it a bit though, because it starts out and like you've got the fight with Carrie Ann Moss, and like and she dies immediately.
I
I
was
mean, like
so angry. I was so
shows do
angry.
that.
I was so
Shows
angry.
have done it well.
I
Like,
genuinely, she was the reason I wanted to watch that show because I was like,
yeah,
I love the Matrix series.
yeah.
I love Carrie Ann Moss. I think she's great in anything she's in, and she was pretty good in this. And then they kill her, and I'm like, you're joking me.
And I thought,
What is the
okay,
point?
are we at least going to get some flashbacks or something? No, not so far. But anyway, so that's all like, and the fight itself, like, I've heard how expensive this show is.
This cost more.
Well,
This
go
cost
on.
more than Infinity War. It's cost more
Well,
than
okay.
than
I don't want to get derailed too many times, but like the effects look cheap. The costumes look cheap. Like, I mean,
so
I say
okay.
this with no like, because I am a cosplayer, but
Okay,
like
you
the
beat me to it.
background Jedi in like the temple who are like green and blue look super basic.
Listen,
Like it's really like it's not unconvincing,
no, it
but
is.
it doesn't look expensive. Like Star Trek does much better makeup effects for cheaper.
Listen.
Like
So
and that's the vibe I got off the opening action sequence, which and that opening action sequence is supposed to tide you over for an episode or two of not much action, like
so that you're right in what you said. That problem gets the problems that you're going through in the first 5 seconds, five
right?
minutes, right? Uh, become like cancerous by the third episode, and I have to use that word because look, no disrespect to cosplayers. I know a lot of cosplayers, friends with cosplayers. Done it myself. You've done it. We've all done it. It's fun, right? And we go to conventions. We know a lot. We know a lot of people who do Star Wars cosplay as well. Again, I've done it myself.
Hmm.
This looks like you've bought the robes in the
Yeah,
store
the robes are
in
way too clean.
in Galaxy's Edge,
Yeah.
and you're walking around Galaxy's Edge, and they're shooting the show in Galaxy's Edge. And
Yeah,
that's
because
what it looks like. It looks like they've gone to Disneyland and they're roaming around Galaxy's Edge. And they've bought the robes, and that's what it looks like. I'm like, oh my God, this is
that's just it. And
genuinely
I wouldn't
horrendous.
usually notice this, but like
Horrendous.
the costumes in the first Jedi scene, like they don't look like properly tied rope. They look like, squares of felt. They've just been kind of cut out and hung off each other. And I'm not a kind of person to fixate on that kind of thing.
But
But
you
it
see,
jumped out at me straight away. Like
if
everything looks too. I know it's the High Republic, but like you look at like because the Phantom Menace just came out. Like when you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they look like they're wearing clothes that have
see
like
that,
seen the air of planets.
yeah,
Like,
see that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to be the High Republic, but that's not an excuse either. I
hmm,
mean, like, yeah, okay, and someone could say, well, they live in the temple, they don't see anything. It's like, listen, if you do martial arts, you have a gi or a dobuk, you have 4 or 5 of them because they see a lot of use. You're wearing them all the time, and there's none of that. I mean, they look like they're going to a con, and not even a good con. I mean, that's an insult, and I don't mean it
it
that way.
looks like when I
It,
order costumes, they come kind of like vacuum packed.
yeah, no,
Like, like
as I said, a closer thing from that, like a closer analogy, is when you go to Galaxy's Edge, you can buy the robes for like
yeah,
$100, and that's what it looks like. And
maybe it's close to town. Maybe
maybe, maybe
yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do. But what's weird is if they were trying to do that, why didn't they set it in Batu? Because then at least it would have been like, okay,
Italian. Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. But they didn't. Look,
I don't. Yeah.
you're one who made this seems like a head wreck, right? And that's
Well, I
fine.
mean, the Russian doll thing on Netflix is supposed to be good.
Yeah, but she genuinely just doesn't get Star Wars. And I don't think
Well, maybe
anyone.
I don't want to dive too much. I want to get
No,
through the plot first before we
I,
get into creative stuff.
I know, but I just need to say it. Like, I think everyone involved with this did not understand what they were trying to do. They didn't understand the assignment
Okay.
fundamentally. Because here's the thing, as you said, if you're wearing those robes, you're not hanging out. Like, if they're ceremony robes, fair enough. Like, again, I have a good Taekwondo dobuk that I wear for gradings, for shows, all that kind of stuff. And I have one I wear all the time, and it's in bits because I wear it all the time, right?
Yes.
Like, it's and the Jedi would be the same. They have like the ceremonial robes, which you've seen, which are in this expanded universe, and then they have their ones that they wear all the time because they're clothes that they wear. Sorry, I don't need to go into it. It's just it's from the first episode, the problems that exist metastasize so much by we're on episode 3 now, and it's like this is genuinely it's awful. It's so bad. Sorry, King, go.
Right.
Sorry.
All right. I will say one thing. I don't want to like focus on like special effects and things because if the story's there, whatever. I one thing that really set alarm bells off, and this is just because the Phantom Menace was out in cinemas last week. This is the last thing I'm going to say on special effects and all that. They have like an Nemoidian like character in the first
Yes,
episode,
they do.
and
Yeah.
like the new gun rays from like the prequels, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's fully digital.
Mm.
And something about that really bothered me because, like, they did it with puppets in the 90s. And sure, you had to make Yoda digital so he could, like, jump around and stuff. Fine. But, like, it's kind of circles back to what we were talking about Godzilla minus one last week and, like, the balloon inflated budgets of, like, an Ant-Man movie or something like that. Immediately, it screams like we had money and we couldn't be bothered getting a costume that already exists and is already made or just make a new one. It kind of set me off on the wrong foot straight away when you've got like not a lack of effort necessarily, but like it just kind of looks gross
But
and it's
look,
supposed to be your world building like thing, you know?
I'll put it this way, right? In the 90s, the first live action Star Wars thing that was made was Rebel Assault 2 and Dark Forces 2,
Mm.
where they'd actually use the props from the 70s and the 80s movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Okay.
and that was and I love those. I think they're great. You know what? I would rather those than watch anything there. And the thing about it is the acting is bad, the effects is bad, but it's made with heart and they're using actual props that they got from Lucasfilm. How much effort would it have been for them to go to Lucasfilm and go, look, lads, I need an Emoidian costume. Can we dig that out? Yeah,
Yeah.
here you go. It literally would have taken no effort. The problem here is there was no fundamentally there was no love of Star Wars here. This is a product and it's a bad one at that.
But the weird thing is, in like the Mandalorian, I don't know the species, but the Admiral Akbars are puppets.
There's a
So they
difference.
have puppets. They
Yeah,
have the capabilities to make this
yeah,
stuff. Like,
but who made the Mandalorian?
to be honest, I don't know. The Iron Man director.
Yeah, Jon Favreau. Jon
Okay.
Favreau loves Star Wars.
Right.
This woman, and I don't know her name because I don't care to know, does not love Star Wars. She probably hates Star Wars because you have to make something this bad. It's made with hate and spite, and that comes through. It's like you've done the bare minimum. You know, like
All right. All
Lucas,
right.
no, Lucas made it with digital technology to push the technology forward. He was trying to future-proof technology, which he could help other artists make their creation. This was made. I don't know why this was made. Was it made for money? Obviously not, because it's terrible. Nobody's watching it. Was it made to appease an audience? No, because everyone hates it except for, obviously these certain people who seem to love it for some reason. But
Right.
general Star Wars
Well,
fan don't like it, and I don't know who this was made for. And that's my
Well,
big
I'm
point.
slightly conscious of time, so I want to get
Sure.
into the
Go
plot,
on, go on, go on.
which is basically it begins with I will look up the character names. I do apologize. So this character in the purple hood is, and I will admit, a knife fight versus lightsaber, conceptually cool, even if I don't like the way it's executed. This character murders a Jedi played by Carrie-Anne Moss, and then the Jedi show up to arrest the same actor, but not the same character, as is revealed, who is kind of like a spaceship mechanic. And the entire first episode is her former master, because she used to be like a Padawan. I don't get the ins and outs of how you quit that, but however. It's like a hunt to find her. And then near the end, it's revealed that she has a twin sister played by the same actor who is sort of doing her Kill Bill killing off the Jedi who wronged her somehow. And now our main character is in the team and they're going to go catch her and all that kind of stuff. And I say that out loud. And first of all, it sounds like Star Trek Discovery, which, I mean, I feel gross saying that, but like, it's also gross that the first time that Star Trek and Star Wars put a black woman in a role that's all about how she's wrongfully arrested, but make of that what you will. So like it's just Discovery. It's the hero on the run from the police who's wrongfully arrested, trying to right the wrongs and like restore the honor of the thing she quit. And it's the same. It's got the same like, and I like Discovery. But in Discovery, even when it was kind of in its early days, the characters really popped. You liked Tilly, you liked Saru, you were suspicious of Lorca. There was all this kind of intrigue. Here, all the characters, I know Jedi are a bit stoic, but everything just feels really bland and like unmotivated. It's like everyone's sleepy, both writing wise and acting wise. It just sort of like, I like her little droid, but apart from that, it just sort of like trudges along. It doesn't feel like there's any like energy to it, any excitement, any like kind of like high stakes. Now I get that it's like a crime drama thing, a kind of mystery thing, but like it feels like the characters are talking how they feel about each other without emoting to each other. And it's not dark, it's not fun. I'm trying to think of the right word for it. It just feels very sedated. Do you know what I mean there? It doesn't kind of like pop straight away because
As I
Andor
said,
is dark, but
no,
it's like engaging,
as I said, this wasn't made with any passion. This wasn't made with any love of the source material. This was made as a product. The question here is, who was this product made for? Because nobody likes it. Everyone hates it. It's a soulless void of creativity, and it's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to Star Wars ever. And I mean, I'm not being hyperbolic. Like if there was somebody, if there was one person who was like, "Yeah, this is brilliant, this is the greatest thing ever," and he genuinely meant it, I mean, awesome. But even the positive reviews I've read are,
They seem
you
to be
know,
dipping off at episode 3. Yeah, yeah.
exactly like
I do want to correct a bit, which is
sorry,
Amanda
four.
Stenberg is playing Osha and May, the twins, and she is a great actor. Like, I hope that, because I was watching, like, sorry to take over the conversation there, but I was watching the Dragon Ball Evolution on TV with
Mm,
Stevie the other day, and it made me feel so bad that the lead actor in that is like, you always see his face on like the thumbnails of
yeah.
like all these like takedown videos. I'm like, oh, he's a good actor. Like, leave him alone. And I hope that doesn't happen to her because she's great. Same for Lee Jung Jae from like Squid Game and all that. I
I
It
mean,
breaks
look,
my heart that there might be like really good actors in this who will end up on those thumbnails on all the Star Wars videos that are infinite on YouTube, you
well,
know?
look. Here's the thing: she knew what she was signing up for, right? That is
Yeah,
what it is.
Star Wars. Who doesn't want to sign up for Star Wars? Like,
You read the script.
I don't think you get scripts before you sign up to a Star Wars thing. I mean, what do
I
you think, Kev? Do you think that an actor would like, because like, if an actor got to read the episode 1 of the Acolyte and they didn't get the part, that'd be in over the internet in hours, like,
Oh yeah, no, Disney will have that stuff under lock and key.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about that.
okay. I'll give you that one, right? But still, there has to be some like. I mean, there has to be some level of like we are making trash here, you know? Like I don't know if you guys have
But
seen.
trash is interesting.
I don't. I don't know if you guys have seen Disaster Artist.
Yes.
Yeah, like that. They do walk, they do leave. Like cast and crew. They're like, no, no way. But there's
Yeah,
an
but who
interest.
leaves Disney? Like,
Well, look, here's the thing. So people on the internet can say what they want. We can say
mm,
what we want, whatever. But this has gotten so out of hand that Forbes today, their senior contributor came out and said that The Acolyte is one of the most disappointing Star Wars episodes
well,
ever.
I wasn't going to single it out, but that was the only negative review I could find when episode 1 and 2 was Forbes. The rest were all like glowing.
Yeah,
So
and
that
it
doesn't surprise me. Like,
basically they're calling it a complete, absolute disaster to
mm,
the point that like I have no words, And I mean that's kind of where I am too, where it's just like you descend into ranting because you're just so like I'm physically
mm.
upset at this show, and it's not because of what's on it. It's because it's like it's so disingenuous. It's such an incredible display of cynicism and hate for the source material
Oh,
that
I wouldn't say hate, maybe just
no,
like
I no
apathy towards it. I feel
no.
bad for Lee Jung Jae, who learned English to do this. Could
But
you
look,
imagine like going to all that effort? Like,
he's one of the best things in it.
he is his perform. Like I said, the performances are great. The characters are just like boring.
Well, see, boring would be okay. The first two episodes were boring, right?
Mm.
Ahsoka at points can be boring. Boring's okay. Episode 3 collapses the entire Star Wars thing. I mean, I don't think. Look, they're at a point now, and someone said it to me during the week, or else I was listening to something or whatever. The way forward, and I know we've joked about this before, but genuinely, the way forward after this now is from to just hit the reboot button and wipe everything that's Disney Star Wars out.
Can't do it.
You can do it.
All the Baby Yoda stuff and petties. You can't do it.
No, I mean you can keep that. I mean, there's ways of doing it, right? But you can absolutely wipe out a lot of it and keep a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's just my thing is here is they've hit bottom here. Like,
Mm.
there's no coming back from this. Like, Star Wars was a dead brand anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm literally sitting in a room surrounded by Star Wars stuff, right? A dead brand, and I just don't know how you come back from this. I'm like, it's actually catastrophic. Like, and look, we were saying we wanted Old Republic stuff, High Republic. Those books nobody read. I mean, Keen, you probably have read one or
Well,
two
actually,
books.
this reminds me of the Knights of the Old Republic comics that my wife has, because
They're
the
great.
plot of that, which
Yeah,
is good,
yeah.
is about a Jedi apprentice who stumbles upon his master having killed a bunch of like younglings, and
Mm.
they frame the main character, and he has to go on the road. See, that's a dynamic plot. There's intrigue. You
Yeah,
want to
but
know what's the deal with the villain? What's the this? It's just this kind of just like trudges.
yeah,
I
like
don't care
but that's
why
because
the sister wants to kill someone, you know?
but that's because it's made with like intent and love, and do you actually want to tell a story? I just like from watching all the marketing material and stuff that was coming out beforehand. I just if it wasn't made with spite and hate, which I genuinely think it was, right? Um, I just don't understand why make it. Like it's not interesting. Nobody cares. Like the twin narrative thing. It again, that's very unoriginal. It's Star Wars. I mean, come on. But
Whatever. I can hand wave that away as long as the story's interesting. Like,
no, but like twins in Star Wars, it's like, come on. But I mean, they give away the big twist in episode one, and you're like, well, what are you building towards? Like, there's nothing here. There's not like even in episode three, nothing really happens except a deconstruction of the Jedi who are presented as basically space cops who are bad, which I'm like, okay, that's
if it was episodic, I would watch a Jedi cop show in a heartbeat.
yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah, so would I. And I mean, one of the best things in Andor, not in Andor, in The Mandalorian was when they did the real backstage stuff of the New Republic, and you know, they have the effect and like that was really interesting. They can do stuff with that, but with this, it's like okay, so they're bad cops or whatever, and it's
bad cops,
and it's a deconstruction of that, which is like okay, that's been done. Not interesting. Then you have the whole witches thing, and you're like, okay, that's really dumb. But okay, I can go along with it. Witches exist in Star Wars, but okay. Then do you do the thing where the girls are created by the Force, like like Anakin was, and you're like, okay, that's even more dumb, but okay. And it's like, so episode three exists solely to tear down these pillars of the franchise, and now you're like, well, where does it go from here? You know, I mean, I'm not willing to cash out completely because I am still going to follow it and see how bad it gets, but all the problems that we've identified from episode one and two drove themselves off a cliff, and the whole franchise is just lying there like, oh my god.
And the heartbreaking thing is, we've been begging for like get away from the Skywalkers, like you know, get out of this time period. Explore. This is kind of daring. It's daring to do something without familiar characters or without Yoda and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting to do. Although they'll probably bring in Darth Plagueis, but like it is kind of bold to say this is a new thing. It's original. Go check it out. I appreciate that. It's a shame. It's just dull, you know.
So look, well, I'm. How much time have we got left?
About 40 seconds. So
right. Okay.
We're getting the hook.
Right, really quick. I'm gonna rebook the first this series. Right. So it opens up with episode 3 where the girls are in their witch cult. Right. They get kidnapped by Mandalorians. Right. And then you have the Jedi trying to get the girls back to help the witches. It discovers that they're force sensitive, and you have to make a choice between wanting their life or wanting to be Jedi. There you go. That's so much more interesting than anything that's happened.
Oh, this is you rewriting it because I haven't
that's
seen
me
it.
Writing it. Okay, no, that's me rewriting. That's what I would do. I would because you have your stakes. You still have all the teams you have. You can have the girls being created by the Force, and then you have to pick. Well, do they actually want to be Jedi, or do they want to stay with their own people? That's actually interesting.
But that's drama.
It's drama,
like
and you can have everything else that's in the show. You can have the same cast, you have the same blah 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 blah. But there's literally no point to anything we're watching other than they're just tearing stuff down for the sake of it. You can do that, but there needs to be some underwriting narrative that just doesn't exist. And there you go. I've done it in 40 seconds.
Good man.